Are you sick and tired of starting and stopping with your fitness every single year? Do you want to make this next year the year you finally break free of that all or nothing pattern where you're in or you're out, you're on or you're off, you're on the wagon or you're off the wagon? Good. This is the perfect episode for you to be starting your year with, because today we are going to give you our 6-step blueprint to master your fitness and health. No longer dabbling with it or trying to get healthy, but genuinely learning how to build a healthy life. My name is Lindsay Pickowitz.
And I'm Brian Pickowitz. We are the head coaches and the co-founders of the Fitness Project, where we focus on building fit and healthy leaders. Now, one of the things that we believe more than anything else is that when you are healthy, when you are strong, when you are vibrant, you're able to achieve so much more, because when you're growing in your business, your career, there's so many constraints. There's so many things that are vying for your attention and energy. And if you do not have enough energy to give to those challenges, you will constantly burn out. And we know that so many people struggle because they are burnt out. They're fatigued. They're not able to perform at their best. And one of the things that we know is change requires energy. And so if you're looking at this year and you're saying, I want to make a change, I want things to be better, I want things to be different, you got to get some energy. You got to get some movement. You got to make health a priority. Now, it doesn't have to feel like another job, though. It can be easy. It can be something that's simple. And with this blueprint, that's our goal. Our goal is to show you how you can actually start implementing strategic habits that will allow you to not only get great results, changing your body, losing weight, but also make us a permanent part of your life. And that's our aim. So when we talk about the blueprint, the first step of this blueprint has nothing to do with fitness and everything to do with your psychology. And so if you want to change the way that you're thinking about your fitness and health, the way you're approaching this journey, and make it just a permanent part of what you do, you have to first start with upgrading your identity. Now, James Clear talks about this in the book Atomic Habits. Our habits follow our identity. And you can think of identity as the culmination of our beliefs about ourselves in relativity to the rest of the world. So it's our beliefs, it's our view of ourselves, it's our values, and oftentimes our identity about our health is really wrapped up in trying. It's about doing a program. It's about trying to lose weight. We haven't seen this as a journey of something that's making us stronger and more confident and more, let's say, passionate about the things that we want to do with our life. And so the first step is looking at, hey, what are the current beliefs I hold about myself in relativity to fitness and health? Do I see this as a drag? Do I see this as the most frustrating thing in my life? Do I see it as something I wish would just go away? And can I start to get to the point where I see this as something that makes me better? Can I see myself becoming a fit and healthy person? One of the things we tell our clients is we want you to go through this experience with our team and see it as the process of you becoming a fit and healthy leader, someone who leads themselves first. And so for yourself, there's 3 questions you can ask. A, who do I want to be by the end of this year? Right? How do I want to feel? How do I want to look? What are some of the changes I want to make for myself and how I approach my day? Am I someone who shows up for myself daily? Am I a leader who has the confidence and certainty to really step in and command whatever challenges come our way? How do I want to feel at the end of this year? The second question is, if I was a fit and healthy version of myself, what would I do on a weekly basis? What would some of my habits look like, right? What would I do in my movement or my workouts or how I fuel my body? How would I take care of myself? What is the energy I would have if I was a fit and healthy version of myself? And then the last question, which is more of a here and now question, you can ask this at any time throughout the day. What would the fit and healthy version of myself do in this moment? If you're out at a restaurant, what would a fit and healthy version of me eat? How might they order their food? If I'm thinking of skipping a workout because it's been a long day, what would the fit, healthy version of me do? Doesn't mean you'd go and work out for an hour. It might just mean you'd stretch or you'd have a healthy dinner, or you'd get to bed on time. That's the key. What would that version of me do in this moment so I can always come back to that and be mindful about reinforcing the person I want to become?
Yeah, and something that's also really helpful when it comes to upgrading your identity is having better references as well, which is something that we talk about occasionally, but it's something that really helps us in our lives as well. When you only have references to perhaps the version of yourself from 20 years ago who was in insane shape and fitness was their life, ooh, that's tough because that might not be a helpful reference for right now with today's fit version of you. So it might be useful to start following people on social media or looking into different references of people who are balanced, who are super successful in business and also in great shape. You might need to start grabbing some different references that you can pull from. So just keep that in mind when you think about upgrading your identity. It's also your reference point between who you see and who you are. That might have to shift as well because you don't have to be crazy to be fit and healthy by any means. But the second thing,
although we are
sometimes, but the second thing that you have to do if you want to master your fitness and health is strength train. Specifically, step number 2 on your blueprint, strength train 3 times a week for 30 to 45 minutes. And that's just to give you a range and an idea of what's going to boost your metabolism, what's going to build your bone mass or bone density, and what's going to increase your longevity. Because that's really what we're after when we're strength training. We're not trying to burn as many calories as possible so that we can lose weight a little quicker. We're genuinely trying to make our body stronger. We're trying to make this body healthier. And if you're over the age of 25 and you're watching this, well, you need to be doing this.
Yes.
Bottom line. What is Peter Attia's quote?
Yeah, so there's a great quote from Dr. Peter Attia that talks about the benefits of strength training. And he says, strength training is the closest thing we have to the fountain of youth.
There you go.
When you're strong, you're able to balance. You're able to keep your body upright. When we think of longevity, being able to be independent into your 70s, 80s, and even 90s requires strength, requires balance, requires stability. And so when you're thinking of people in their 70s, 80s, and 90s who experience fatalities that weren't due to cancer, health, or heart disease, neurodegenerative disease, or even metabolic disease, which would be diabetes, it's usually because of a fall. It's because they fall and break a hip. Something happens inside their body because they weren't able to hold on to themselves or hold on to their balance. And so when you strength train, you actually boost your ability and enhance your ability to have health span, which is your quality of life as you age. So it's a must. It's not just about going to the gym and becoming Arnold Schwarzenegger, although you can get biceps and that'll feel fantastic for some of you. It's about going to the gym and getting stronger because it's going to increase your independence and it will boost your metabolism, which will help you burn fat, lose weight, and be able to eat more calories as you increase your engagement with fitness.
That's true. And we don't want to only be thinking of getting 3 workouts a week. That's super important for your overall strength, health, well-being, longevity. But even simpler than that, the part 3 of this blueprint here is moving your body every day. And specifically, there's a lot of studies around how much time you need to be spending doing it. And you can read different amounts of time depending on who you talk to or what doctor you speak to. But a really good baseline habit is 20 minutes of just pure movement. It doesn't have to be go play sports or go for a run or do a full workout. It could be 20 minutes of yoga, 20 minutes of stretching, a 20-minute walk. It doesn't have to be crazy. But think about how little you move on a daily basis. If you're like us and you work at home or in front of a computer, you're not a labor worker, you have a business, well, you're probably not moving very often unless you're intentional. And the key is unless you're intentional. 100 years ago, every single job or part of life required movement. It wasn't an option. It wasn't something you had to be intentional to get into your day. It was intentional to live your day. Right? But today, we've become such a technology-dependent society, which is great in a lot of ways, but health and movement isn't one of those ways it's become great. So we now have to consciously choose to move our bodies. Now, if you just keep that in mind and you move 20 minutes a day, your likelihood of having an early death reduces dramatically. Was it like 14%?
Yeah, there is a Harvard Health study that shows that increasing your movement by 20 minutes per day can reduce the likelihood of early onset death by 13%, and that's an annual rate. So it reduces annual rates of mortality by 13%, just seeing those who are exercising and active compared to those who aren't. So if you compare that over the long term of your life, it's going to, especially as you think of your 60s, 70s, 80s, it's going to have that return benefit. So movement enhances your metabolic rate. It improves your joint health. It's being able to have that overall quality view versus I need to work out to burn calories. You'll get the benefit of 20 minutes of movement to probably, think about walking for 20 minutes, will probably burn like maybe 50 to 70 calories, depending on your height, your sex, your age, bone density, muscle mass, all those things. But it's really more about getting in the habit, which will also increase your likelihood of eating healthy because it acts as a keystone habit for your wellness.
Yeah, and it's way better than taking your automatic default, which I find for so many people, their default belief around movement is I have to go for 45 minutes. Yeah. Like I have to go for a power walk for 45 minutes to have daily movement. It's like you could move for 20 minutes, and then if you feel so called to, you could move for 45.
Or 5 minutes.
Or 5 minutes. But the key is you have to have self-awareness. If you think you have to walk or move or work out for 45 to 60 minutes for it to, quote, count, unquote, you're the only one who's setting that standard. Nobody else is telling you to do that. I hope, anyway. Mm-hmm. And I hope that if somebody else is telling you to do that, that they can also clarify that 20 minutes is better than 0.
Now, if that's how we want to think about movement, getting some strength training, making sure we're getting activity daily, we also want to focus on our nutrition. So step number 4 of this blueprint is to eat at a modest calorie deficit. Doesn't matter who you are, but we want to restrict our calories a little bit in order to enhance our cellular activity. Dr. David Sinclair talks about the benefits of a calorie-restricted diet, and he says, we age because we eat more than we need to. The simplest intervention to improve our lifespan is to eat less. Now, I know some people are going to hear that, and they're going to think, okay, I need to restrict my calories and eat 1,200. That's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is taking what your body needs in order to maintain your current weight and then going slightly below it. So we'll put in the show notes our actual outline of this blueprint, and we'll link up how to figure out what your body's maintenance calories are. There's a simple little app that you can use that will show you what that is. But when we talk about calorie restriction, we're really making it so that our body is using what we currently have as stored fat for energy throughout the day. That doesn't mean you have to be on keto or eating paleo or anything like that. But we want to start to see that if we are someone who is a little overweight and we're in that range where we have that excess body fat, that makes it really hard for us to move. It makes it hard for our cells to be as healthy and as functional as they could be. And so if we're eating at a modest calorie deficit, it actually allows our cells to work more efficiently. It allows our body to repair itself more efficiently. And that's the blueprint to longevity, no matter if you have a 30-pound weight loss goal, a 100-pound weight loss goal, or you want to maintain around where you are today.
Mm-hmm. And I would say to the people who hear that and go, no, 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 I am not going to restrict my calories. Hang tight, pull back, pause for a moment. Think about an example. I, Lindsay Pickowitz, am 5'4" and about 140-ish pounds. I can eat 2,200 calories and maintain my weight and feel totally full and satisfied. Like totally full and satisfied. Not a lick of hunger. If I eat 2,000, I actually feel better. I actually feel lighter. I feel more energized. I feel healthier. So we're saying a very modest caloric deficit. Very, very modest. It's not a diet. It's not reducing your calories aggressively so you can drop 5 pounds this week. Not at all. When we're talking about getting fit and healthy, you want to be at a slight caloric restriction. And you'll actually find that you feel a lot better when you're giving your body what it needs to maintain its weight and then a teeny tiny bit less than if you eat to full maintenance or above it, which most people do every day. So just keep that in mind.
So step number 5 is to make sure we're eating at least 2 to 3 meals of healthy whole foods. Now, this is that balanced diet approach. We want to be making sure we're getting enough fiber. We're making sure we're getting nutrient-dense carbohydrates and vegetables or fruits. We also want to make sure we're getting enough protein to adequately repair our muscles after a workout. Protein intake can also help increase your feeling of satiation, which means you feel less hungry throughout the day, which will help you in this process. And we want to make sure we're getting healthy fats to repair our cells as well, helping with our brain and cellular function. Most people think that, if I'm going to go and diet, I have to cut out carbohydrates, or I have to go and do keto, which means I have to have a really intense fat surplus in my diet in order to maintain my health. That's not the starting point for most people. Most people will benefit from thinking, hey, I have a healthy, balanced breakfast with 20 to 25 grams of protein, with 7 to 14 grams of fat, with some healthy vegetables or healthy carbohydrates. I repeat the same thing for lunch. I repeat the same thing for dinner. I have a healthy snack in between there. And if you're doing that, it's a really easy way to make sure that you're fueling your body properly. It can also help with your mindset around food because you're not feeling like you're snacking throughout the day, which really doesn't leave you feeling full. And snacks, right? A lot of the prepackaged food that we would eat doesn't have micronutrients in it. They're not giving us enough protein or fiber to really help our body be healthy. So if we can think through that lens of, hey, I'm going to try to eat at least 2 to 3 healthy meals. You can do that at a restaurant. You can do that for breakfast. You can have a healthy dinner with your family. It's getting out of the snacking, right? That snacking mindset, or even the mindset that says I have to prep 7 meals a day and then it causes all the stress. It's like, hey, start with 2 or 3 and figure out how to really make that work for you.
Yep. And that also will really help with the idea that you should restrict your food all day long and wait until you're starving, which nobody wants to admit, but especially for women, that is what we do. We play this game with ourselves. And I know this because one of my clients calls it food chicken. We play this game with ourselves to wait and see how long we can go without eating. We don't do it consciously because we think it's healthy. We do it because we think it's better and that we're going to either lose weight or be leaner or feel lighter. Don't do this to yourself. A healthy meal is somewhere between 400 and 600 calories for most people. Eat that 2 to 3 times a day. Don't restrict yourself and wait until you're starving because then you're going to overeat and you're not going to have a healthy relationship with food. And if you just focus on 2 to 3 meals of healthy whole foods, you can fill in the rest. You can learn as you go how much protein is enough protein. 20 to 30 to 40 grams per meal, great. Calories, 400 to 600 per meal. This is a good starting point. You'll learn as you go. This is not the end game. This is the start for 2025 to be healthy. Number 6. Practice gratitude. Now, this is going to fit in that realm of emotional fitness. So many people forget that their emotions are typically what derail their progress. They'll be going through the day, doing really well, staying consistent throughout the week, and then they get really frustrated because the scale's up. And then all of a sudden, they didn't work out for 5 days and wonder what happened. Your emotions derailed your progress. Your emotions told you that you're failing, even though you're working hard, that you're not losing weight fast enough. And so if we can shift that proactively and intentionally practice gratitude every day, well, we're going to be in a much healthier place emotionally to make progress and feel good about ourselves and actually get in that mindset of saying, hey, I'm doing well. I'm actually progressing and I'm getting healthier. Ta-da.
Tony Robbins has a quote that reads, "Gratitude turns what we have into enough." And there's also plenty of research that shows that people who manage stress, people who manage the stress and struggles of the day tend to be happier, tend to have better relationships, and our relationships are really what keep us around. Having purpose, having people in our lives that we really genuinely care about That allows us to increase our lifespan, and it helps us actually make better decisions when we think about what we put in our body and what we do for our life. So practicing emotional fitness, right? That's starting with gratitude and appreciation, but understanding that our emotional well-being, the meaning that we assign and associate to our life is so important. We can build a great identity. We can push our body. We can eat right. But if we do not manage this one area of our life, it will never be enough. We'll never feel satisfied, and there won't be any purpose behind what we're doing for our health.
Yeah.
You need to have purpose. You need to have a positive and fulfilling meaning. So that last piece of gratitude and emotional fitness is so key. On that note, this is the blueprint. This is what you have to do. Here's how you actually get fit and healthy this year. It starts with understanding you need to upgrade your identity. You need to focus on strength training, ideally different parts of your body 2 to 3 times a week. You need to make sure you're getting enough movement in, ideally 20 minutes per day. You need to focus on putting yourself in a modest calorie deficit. You need to also focus on eating 2 to 3 healthy, whole food based meals that are balanced so that you're full and you can actually have the micronutrients and macronutrients that your body needs to be healthy. And then lastly, practice appreciating the things that you have so that you can actually enjoy the gift of life. Again, we will put this all in a blueprint that you can download here on this episode so you can look at it and say, hey, which one of these am I focusing on? Which one do I need to focus more on? And just even put it up so you can see it for yourself and have that anchor for the next year. But let's get fit together. Let's make this year successful. Follow this blueprint and you will have an amazing 2025 and so much success from this year beyond.
Yes, and we so look forward to hearing your takeaways from this. Make sure you grab the blueprint below and leave us a comment if you're on YouTube and tell us, what did you take away from this? What did you learn about yourself or how you need to be approaching fitness to be healthy and successful? And if you're on another listening platform, feel free to leave us a review. Let us know how this podcast has helped your life so far and perhaps some things you'd like to learn in the coming year as you listen in and tune in to take care of yourselves on Conquer the Day with us. That said, take this information, go out and conquer your year.
Cheers.